Welcome back, guys. My name is Justin. You've made it here to episode 3 of our Build It series here in Planet Coaster. Today we are going to be working on a little bit of terrain editing around the end of our wooden coaster, and then we're going to get started and build the station for this guy. Now, when I started building this station, I wanted to keep it fairly simple. I wanted it, wooden to match this ride. I wanted it open, nothing too crazy. I think the hardest part of building these buildings for me is getting the pieces to line up and look good with where I put the queue entrances and exits. Now, one thing I like to do with my station buildings is to keep the platforms fairly open, assuming that's possible with where they're at in the park, but the more windows the better. The ride-op should always be able to see the train on the ride as it's going through as much as possible. You should be able to see it leaving and entering the station. And you're typically in the parks during the summer when it's hot, so you always want a good breeze. The other thing I wanted to do is leave a lot of windows for the guests as they're on the platform. Me personally, as a guest, I like to be able to look out and see the rest of the park and the scenery as I'm waiting in line. And when you're on the ride, when you're in the station, that anticipation just gets more and more. So, leave it open, lots of windows. Now, one thing you guys don't know about me is I was a ride-op at Cedar Point about 10 years ago. I can remember many times during the rain where we had to shut down and had a little cleaning party on the platform. Now, what made those cleaning parties fun was when guests stayed on the station to wait out the rain with us. That always made it entertaining and enjoyable for both parties. Do you guys have any memorable moments waiting on a station, waiting out the weather or the rain? Let me know. Leave your stories down in the comments below. So while we're sitting here building this station, tell me, guys, what do you think of the background music? Do you like having the background music while I'm not talking or underneath my talking? I kind of like it. I think it makes the episode move on a little quicker, and that way I don't have to talk the entire time. So now we're going to start building the exit to this ride. And with the station raised up the way it is, obviously we needed a little platform for it to come out to, and then down. Originally I had stairs put in, but I wasn't a fan of the way they flowed, so I decided to put this hill in, which will be nice because when we get around to putting more scenery in this area, I'll have a little hill to put some trees and flowers on. Now, this is always the fun part. Now, I've only had this game for almost a month. So I'm still learning all the pieces, learning how they all work together, what looks good, what pieces are colorable, what pieces are graded and non-graded. So a lot of my time is spent searching through the scenery pieces. As you see here, I tried to go with the brick, and it worked but I didn't know how I was going to put a roof over that. So instead of the concrete or the bricks, we're going to go back to the wooden platforms that I had, and that'll keep the entire building wood like it should be. Now, the idea I had with this building was that I didn't want it too big. It's still at the very front of the park, just as you leave the main street area, and no matter how big it was, you were going to be able to see it. So I didn't want it too tall, but I wanted to do a little something extra that I don't normally do. Give it a little give it a little character. So I decided to go ahead and put this little bell tower lighthouse pointy bit on top. It took me a little bit to figure out how I liked it, but eventually we got there. Alright guys, I got another question for you. What is your home park? Or is there a park that you claim as your home park? For me, technically my home park, as it's the closest, is Elitch Gardens in Denver. Now, I've been to that park many times, and you can do it all in one day, no problem. So, well, I guess technically it would be my home park. I feel more at home at any Cedar Fair park. Growing up, I grew up in Nebraska, and I was halfway between Denver and Kansas City, so it was Worlds of Fun or Elitch Gardens. Now, since I have a bunch of family in Denver, we were in Denver all the time, so we went there more. But even to this day, when I go back to Worlds of Fun, the difference between those two parks is night and day. Now, for me, the Cedar Fair parks is always going to be home. There's just the difference in the attitude of the employees and the write-offs at Cedar Fair parks opposed to Six Flags parks or other smaller parks. I've always felt like the people that work at Cedar Fair parks want to work at that park or work in the industry. You can tell by the way that they're happy and they want to be there. Not, oh, I'm here because I need money this summer. And that attitude shows tremendously. So that's why I'd like to claim all Cedar Fair parks as my home park. Now, as you see on the main roof, I went with the tiled pieces. I like that because I was able to color them to blend in with the wood. But on the exit, I wanted to look more like a porch, so that's why I went with the corrugated roof instead of the tile. And I think it still all works together. Now, using those beams as corner decorations, tidying up all of our little weird spots, holds it all together a little bit. Now, the roof for this part, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I came up with this idea and I liked it and I kept it. I'm not 100% happy. I mean, I'm happy with the way it turned out. I'm not 100% certain that that's what I wanted, but it gives the roof an extra roof line. It gives the building a little more dimension, so I kept it. So now we're going to move on to decorating the queue area of the ride. I wanted it to blend in keep it with the wood theme. I knew they needed a little bit of a shelter because if they're going to be standing out in the sun this whole time, you need some shade. But I wanted it to look like it was part of a building that had been here for a long time. Now with that first little shelter that I built, maybe it was just an overhang, where they brought machinery or animals home to work on and fix or get better or something. I don't know. Now I know it's not true, but for me, I always imagine these wooden roller coasters to have just been here for 80 years, 90 years, I think it's cool to think that a lot of this stuff was built around pre-existing structures, Maybe they bought the land 100 years ago and after a homesteader moved off of it and there was already buildings up, so they just reused what they already had. That's kind of my thought process on building this queue station. So now we're going to go in and add some lighting to the area. I really like the way that this queue turns out at night. I think it looks super cool. I got a lot of cool shots at the end of this video for you to check out. So let's throw in some trees, make it look like it's been here forever. The trees are built up around it, grown up. I really like the concept of man versus nature. I like seeing natural trees and vines and plants growing, overtaking old, worn down, dilapidated buildings and structures. I think that's just super cool to think that, yeah, man may be super creative and inventive and we can do all these things, but once we're gone, nature's just going to take it back and own it because it's hers. So we're just here to borrow the land and use it while we're here. If that means for us to build a roller coaster in the middle of it, so be it. But when we're gone, Mother Nature is going to take back this track as long as it's still standing, and she's going to make it into her own work of art. Let's go ahead and throw in some lighting around the building. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I don't think I've told you guys yet, but you got to keep in mind that I only have the game itself at this time. I don't have any other downloadable content, so I'm just working with the in-game pieces that come with the original purchase. I really like these lanterns. I like the color that they give off. I just wish there was more options pre-made like this so you don't have to build your own brackets, because that gets tedious and annoying after a long time. I wanted to lighten this area up a little bit, but being old rustic, I didn't want it too bright, but I also didn't want them being in the dark. One thing I think would be really helpful with Planet Coaster 2, whenever that comes out, is I really wish you could change the brightness of some of these lights. Again, it wouldn't be difficult, at least in my mind, it wouldn't be difficult to do. Again, it'd just be a little slider in the box down in the corner. You know, you put your light in and then move the slider to left or right for brighter or dimmer. It would go a long way in this game with the minimal lighting pieces that we have. Now, again, I don't have the downloadable content. I know there's a lot more lights that are available. I'll get to that eventually, but for now, I'm going to play with all the original pieces. So now we're going to jump over to the inverted coaster area. Clean this up a little bit, put in some planters, some flowers, make it look like it belongs here. Now, after I've edited a few of these episodes, I think what I'm going to do is speed up all this time where I'm putting in plants and flowers, speed it up to like 600 or 800%, which is faster than what we were watching. When I'm building the buildings and stuff, I have it set at 400% speed, so 4 times the speed. I think bumping this up to 600 or 800 while putting in flowers makes it move a little quicker. It is very, very repetitive, but I don't want you to miss out on all the fun and excitement that I have. I really like the way that this flower bed turns out. I like the purples and the yellows and the red. The color combo turned out really well. Keep in mind that this is episode 3. I have already filmed and recorded the next 2 episodes, so I do know that this area is going to change quite a bit. I just keep going back and doing more and more work to it, little details. Try to make I want to make this ride look like it is part of the scenery instead of having big open spaces, especially in the front of the park. I'm going to keep quiet on what I do in the next couple episodes, but just keep in mind and remember that a lot of this is going to change. But by the end of episode 5, which I just finished editing, this area is going to look amazing. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Drop a like down below. If you have anything you want to say about the park, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see episode 4 coming out soon. And with that, I'll leave you with some screenshots. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.